Hi, my name is Janice. I'm a fitness instructor and a yoga therapist. And today I'm going to take you through a fitness class that you can do in your home. And keep in mind that if you have some equipment, you might want to use it, but you don't need it. It's optional. So you might want to have a pair of weights. If you don't have a set of weights at home, you could use water bottles or you could just use your own body weight. And I'm going to also use a stretchy band for a little while. So if you have a stretchy band, like a TheraBand, you can use that. But you can also go through the movements without it. They're really easy to pick up. So if you don't have one and you think that it might be something, they're pretty easy to find. So TheraBand is the brand I'm using, but there's lots of different brands. So we're going to generally go through a little warm-up today, a little agility warm-up, a little bit of a gentle cardio conditioning session, and then we'll do some strength training and balance and target some muscle groups. So I'm going to start with a warm-up. Move at your own pace. I'm going to give you some options. So you might want to start with your feet about hip width apart, maybe a little bend in your knees. And I'm going to bend at the knees. I'm going to hinge at the hip crease a little bit. As I come down, the hands come to the thighs, pressing into the thighs, reaching up and around. And I really start a lot of my classes with this movement just to check in with the shoulders, the hips, see how you're feeling. And we'll try 2 more. Good. We're going to add on to this, and it's sort of a jumping jack without jumping. So I'm going to take my hands and cross them over, bend the knees, hinge at the hips. You can go as low as you want to, within reason for your knees and your body. So as I come down, as I spring up, I'm going to step out to the side, and then back to center, and then to the other side. So I'm going up and out. And let's try maybe 3 more on either side after this. So a nice little warm up. You can take breaks anytime. You could do bigger movements, smaller movements. You could leave things out. It's important for you to make this your practice. Things that suit you today. Last one. Yeah, good. Wonderful. As you come back to center, I'm going to take my feet a little wider. A little shoulder roll up, back, and down. Bring my elbows out to the side. And we're going to do a little twist. So I'm going to take one arm and I'm going to bring it around, clap, open, clap. I'm going to add the pivot. Open, clap, clap. So we're getting that little bit of a twist and a little bit of a pivot. 2 more. Last one on either side. Good. Wonderful. As the arms come down, the last thing we'll do as a warm-up for the spine is a little side bend. So you might start with your arms at your sides, standing up nice and tall. Take a breath. And a little lean over. So it doesn't have to be far to get a little bit of a side bend and a little stretch on the other side of the body. You might add an arm, depending on your arm, depending on your shoulder. So the arms might come with you, and that's optional. Yeah. Last one. Good. Wonderful. As you bring your arms down, I'm going to bend the knees, and I'm going to go into a standing balance. And it's going to take us into some agility. So with my knees bent, I'm going to shift my weight to one foot. The opposite foot might lift a little bit. I'm going to reach up, and the foot might lift. It could stay on the ground. So it's a little balance, shifting, stretching and lifting, bending, shifting, lifting, bending, shifting. So here's the option of the toe on the floor, or maybe the foot lifts to add that little extra bit of balance. I'm going to try it one more time. Also reminds me of Mary Poppins. There we go. Good. Wonderful. And then we're going to take this right into a little bit of agility. So I'm going to do a little step tap. Now, for some bodies, a bigger bend in the middle might be nice. You could add that. And you can leave that out. Good. All right, from here, I'm gonna go right into a kick back. And so it's as if I'm aiming to kick my bum. Yeah, so like a hamstring curl. That's it. So let's warm up the upper body with the arms. Again, whatever is the most comfortable for you. I'm going to give you 3 different options with the arms, and you could always keep them at your hips if you want to leave the arms out. So I've got my step and my kick back. First arm movement is going to be backwards. That's it. Good. And now I'm going to do a big reach this time. So I'm going to reach up, up, up. And the last one we're going to do is a reach across. So same idea, reaching across. Good. Let's do 2 more. Last 2. Good. I'm going to go back to my step tap. Feet are still slightly wider than my hips here. And now I'm going to bring them together. So we're going into this sort of step tap. It's a great warm up, kind of reminds me of speed skater. Good. So from this movement here, you're more than welcome to stay with this movement, just a step tap, or it's a step with a heel tap. If you want to add arms, the arms can do a little swing. Okay, so we're getting the lymphatic system warmed up with the arms here. If you decide you want to do a different leg work, you could just do some march on the spot. Really just trying to get the body warmed up here. Get the heart rate up a little bit. Good, 2 and 1. Good. Super. So as we slow this down, taking a moment, we're going to take a moment, a little shoulder roll up, back, and down. Good. All right. So I wanted to share with you a really easy way that you can start to encourage a little bit of gentle cardiovascular activity, even in your house, for 2 minutes. So I've got my watch. I don't have a stopwatch, but I have a watch. So I'm going to use my watch as a little bit of a guideline here. And we're going to attempt for 2 minutes of marching. So you might start with a march like this. I'm timing us now. You might do opposite hand to opposite knee. Okay. So you might start out really ambitious, keeping in mind that these 2 minutes might be the longest 2 minutes of your day. So you've got your arms. If you're really feeling energetic today, the arms could go higher. You could even do a clap under the legs. Yeah, so remember to keep breathing. Maybe in the nose, out the mouth if you're feeling at all tired. Does not take long. The other thing you could do is you could just walk some laps in your house. That's it. So you can take a moment to think about how you're feeling. We're about a minute in. 1 more minute. Yeah. In the nose, out the mouth. If you're feeling a little bit tired, you could just drop the arms. When you drop the arms, you probably drop the energy output about 30%. So if you're feeling like, oh, this is getting really tiring, you might take it down a little bit. Notice where the effort is for you. Where are you noticing the most effort in your body? Big breaths. You're getting close. Yeah, about 15 seconds or so. So for me, with this big high march, the most obvious sensation for me in my body is the hip flexors. And we're going to talk about that later. And our next movement will counter the effect of the hip flexor movement. And we did it. It was about 2 minutes, maybe not exact, but as we slow it down, we're going to go back to the kickback, which is a really nice complementary exercise to the lifting of the leg. So now I'm kicking back. And then just for fun, we're gonna add some arms. And if you decide, you can try a little agility movement with me. So I'm kicking towards the bum, hamstring curl backwards. The arms, I'm just gonna let them float out to the sides like bird wings. Now I'm gonna add a little sequence with the legs. Single, single, double. 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 One more. Single, single, double. Single, single, double. Good. Wonderful. I'm going to go back to my step tap. That's it. Hope you're feeling good. We've done a nice little warm up. Slowly bringing your feet back to that very first position. And we'll just take a moment. Shoulders roll up, back and down. Good. So I thought we could do a little challenge for your balance now. So a couple things you could do. You could be close to, say, a countertop or a wall if you feel a little uneasy today or you're feeling a little off balance. The other thing you can do is have a chair in front of you or behind you or somewhere nearby. So keep that in mind. You can always have the option to have a little prop nearby or a wall or a counter. So for us today, for me today, I'm going to stay here where I am. And this is how it's going to go. You could start with your hands on your hips, or they could be at your heart center. Hands on the hips is a little bit easier, or it could be hands on a chair if you're using something for some balance support. So if I was to start with my hands on my hips, I'm going to take one leg, I'm going to step a small amount to the side, the other leg is going to come up, and then I'm going to extend it out to tap, up, now I'm going to step, side step, up, tap, up. Now, if you want to add to the challenge, the arms come up. Side, up, tap, up. The slower you go, the harder it is. And then the third option, which is the most challenging, is that the leg extends, doesn't touch the ground. Side step, knee up, extend, knee up. Side, up, extend, up. That's optional. Foot can touch the ground. Good. I'm going to do one more. Side, up, out, and up. Good. Great. So that's a great way to warm up the balance. This next series of movements is really helpful for that as well. So I'm going to stay in one spot, and I'm going to choose one leg that I want to start with. The first part of this little balance exercise, I'm going to take one leg, you choose which one you want to start with, in front, together, side, together, back, together. One more time. Forward, together, side, together, back, together. Same leg, except we're not going to meet at center this time. Forward, side, back, together. Forward, side, back, together. Good. Now we're going to add weight transfer. We're going to shift my body weight. So I'm going to step forward, together, to the side, together, and a little bit behind you. Yeah, I'm going to try that one more time. Stepping forward, center, side, center, a little bit back, center. Okay, so let's try the same little sequence on the other side. So the first part of the sequence, toe in front, together, toe to the side, together, toe back, together. One more time. Forward, center, side, center, back, center. No center this time. Forward, side, back, together. One more time. Forward, side, back, together. Now the weight is going to transfer. Stepping forward, together, side, together, back. So these also help cultivate a little bit of our sense of balance. Side and back. Yeah. Good. Wonderful. Okay. All right, so we're going to take a moment now to add in some equipment. So again, if you don't have equipment, you can absolutely do all of these movements without. Again, the TheraBand is a great little piece of equipment, and I'm going to use a yoga block. But again, these are optional. Sometimes if we don't have equipment, you can get creative in your house. Could be a pillow, could be a light little book. Really easy and inexpensive to get. I do know that Canadian Tire sells a lot of this stuff. So for those of you, I think that they even do online orders now. The yoga block, this is a 3-inch yoga block. And this is the blue TheraBand. So that's the most resistant, one of the more resistant, not the most. But you can use any color or any equipment that you have in your house. The reason I'm using the yoga block is I'm using it to find pelvic neutral. Really important for our posture to keep in mind that your pelvis kind of balances or compensates for your posture. So if the front of the body, if the upper body is rolling forward, your pelvis will naturally kind of tuck under to keep you from falling over. And if we over-exaggerate our posture by kind of that military stance, sticking the chest out like so, you can see that the pelvis will tilt and sway a little more than is helpful for my back. When I use this block though, if you notice from the side, I know I've got a mic pack on that looks a little funny, but if you notice from the side, when I place the block between my thighs and if I gently squeeze it, my tailbone will gently start lengthening down. So it's a great way to find recruiting some core muscles and find a way to find pelvic neutral, which will help you with your whole posture. And once the posture is sort of more aligned, then our balance is also a lot easier to cultivate. So I'm using this between the thighs. I'm very gently squeezing it, something maintainable. And if anything causes you any discomfort or pain, then leave it out. Sometimes it's maybe not working for you, and that's fine. You don't have to use it. So I've got my long band here. First thing I'm going to do today is flossing the shoulder. Now I did want to show you that if you don't have a stretchy band and you wanted to do some of these exercises, this one in particular, or two that we're going to do, you could use a strap or a house coat strap or belt. So I have a yoga strap, so it's not stretchy. This could be used to do the same thing, just so you know. For this particular warm-up, you could use a strap. So if you don't have a stretchy band, you could use a strap, just so you know. All right, so first thing, one thing to keep in mind, this is a flossing exercise for the shoulder. Things to keep in mind is that if my arms are too close together, okay, if my arms are about here, there is no amount of flexibility that is going to get my arms to go anywhere further. There's just no possibility. But if I lengthen my arms, so my arms are straight, now my shoulder goes around. So this is a great exercise if you have a tendency to have rounded upper body, sort of that rolled forward sort of kyphosis in the upper back. And you might not be able to get all the way over the head and behind you. If this is causing you severe discomfort, then I would encourage you just to go to a point that is manageable. So that might be for some bodies here. If you're dealing with a shoulder injury, it might be even less so. So really just listening to your body is the most important. And this is quite a little workout for the shoulder. There's not a resistance in here. We're really articulating the range of motion for your shoulder. I'm going to do one more. So it is a great warm-up for the shoulder for sure. Yeah, last one. That's it. Last time round. Good. Little shoulder roll. Okay. Good. So the next one I'm going to do, we're going to add in two movements. One is a flossing exercise with the band, and then the next one will be a tricep extension from that same position. So first thing I'm going to do is take my band in one hand. I have it short on one hand and long on the other, and I hold my arm up in the air. And then I'm going to bend at the elbow and just see where my arm goes. Now this is going to look different for all bodies. Shoulders are really unique to the person and to your specific anatomy. So from this position here, my other arm is going to go behind me, holding the strap or the band or whatever you've got. All right. Now for this one, I'm not adding pull. I'm going to just slide this arm down and up. So I'm just kind of warming up the shoulder a little bit here. It's like a flossing, another flossing activity, as if you needed more things to floss. That's it. Okay, so this one's really just range of motion. I'm not really pulling, adding tension to the band. I'm just kind of moving it up and down. The next one is going to be for the tricep. So once that back arm, the ones behind you, is kind of secured behind you, wherever that's comfortable. It might be lower, might be higher. There it's secure. The top arm, I'm going to extend it up and down. Just like that. Yeah. So great tricep exercise. Great for maintaining your shoulder mobility. Shoulders are they really respond to movement. You know, the use it or lose it really applies to the range of motion for the shoulder. If any of you have had a frozen shoulder, you might know what I mean by that. And so for some bodies, this might look very, very different. So again, find what works. And if it doesn't work today, great opportunity to get a glass of water or take a break and then rejoin when there's something that you feel is going to suit you today. All right, last one. Whew. So you could aim for 6 or 8. I'm going to aim today for just 6, but you could continue on, or you can take breaks before my cue. So as I come down, however you want to get your arm down and around. Whew, it's been there for a while. I'm going to shake out your hands. So we're going to floss the other side first. So you've got your strap or your band in the air. I'm going to bend the elbow so it goes behind me. The other arm is going to come behind you. Yeah. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to see this back arm. Now for the first one, the arms are moving. I'm not really pulling on the strap though. It's like a flossing movement. So I do that a couple times. And then eventually I'll keep the lower arm here bent, secure. And then the top arm is going to go from this bent position to the straight position. And so now I'm feeling it in the good old tricep. And so it's an overhead extension. You might often see this done with weights, where someone will hold a weight and extend the arm up in the air. I'm not a fan of having weights over my head, so I like to use the TheraBand for this one. So that was 3. I'm going to add 3 more. But again, you could do a set of 6. You could do less. You could do a set of 6, take a break, and pause the video and do another set of 6. You could do a repetition of 8 and a break and another set of 8. So it really depends on how you're feeling today. Good. All right, I'm going to take a break. Shake out my arms. Good. A little shoulder roll. All right. At any time, if the block or whatever you're holding between your thighs, if this does not feel good for you, you can just get rid of it. So a couple other things I'd like to share with you about strengthening the muscles in your back, which is really important. These muscles in the back really help so that the shoulders can stay back and the body can be upright. Sometimes posture is more than just a habit. It's muscles that might be in the front really tight and short. Ones in the back might be not activating, might be looser. So in order to activate those muscles in the back, there's 2 of my favorite exercises. And what's really interesting is they're the exact same movement. The hand position changes. When the hand position changes, you change the position of the shoulder. When you change the position of your shoulder, you change the muscles you're working. So take a moment to notice as you do these 2 exercises, do they feel different? Does one feel easier? Does one feel more difficult? So palms up. I'm going to bring my arms out in front of me, make a little fist. All right, I'm going to pull out to the side. So my thumbs are on the outside. You could have a little bend in your elbows. I find that if I lock my elbows, everything in the body kind of tenses up. And I want to keep my shoulders relaxed here. So now I'm going to see how I can get the arms out to the side with ease. So if that was really difficult, with bands, the easiest thing to do is just to make your arms wider, and that will lessen the tension in the band. So try that 3 more times. Okay, so palms are up for this one, and I'm expanding out to the sides. Just want you to notice where you're feeling this. You could be using tubing as well, if you had tubing with handles. I would just hold the actual tubing instead of the handles if you didn't have a band like this. That's it. And if you're deciding if you're coming out of an injury or you just don't have a band, putting your arms up in front of you and imagining you're pulling something apart. In the yoga tradition, the dandals were imaginary weightlifting, and it really works. All right, so after you've done about 6 of those, a little shoulder roll. So all I'm going to do is turn my hands the other way. It's the exact same movement. But if you're doing it with me and you have something with some tension, for me, it's such a different exercise. You really feel a different sensation in the back of the body. And so I just love you to just take a moment to be aware of how this feels in relation to palms up. It's interesting, sometimes in my classes when I ask this question, half the class palms up, so oh, that's harder. And then half the class palms down, oh, that's harder. So it really just depends on the person, your muscle patterns, and your anatomy. Yeah, good. All right, take a break. A little shoulder roll. And we'll just take a moment to release the block, and we'll release the band. So we'll get rid of both of these things wherever you want. And I'm going to take a pair of weights. So some weight bearing activity is great. If you don't have weights at your house, you could use water bottles, soup cans. There's so many options that you could use. And we're just using them to create a little bit of that upper body strength and a little bit to encourage some bone density. So I'm going to start with my feet about hip width apart. And all of these movements, you can add this sort of dynamic movement of the body with me if you choose. You could do this seated, you could sit down in a chair and just focus on the upper body. Or you could say standing and just stay in one place instead of moving a little bit side to side. So those are all options. And take a break whenever you like. You could also do these movements without the weights. So from here, the first movement I'm going to do is a shoulder shrug. That's it. Just bringing the shoulders up and let the weights just very gently pull the arms down. Try it one more. Good. Just like at the beginning, I'm going to do a little side bend, but this adds traction. So this little bit of added weight here is really nice for releasing the shoulder, a little bit side to side. And try that one more time. That's it. Good. And then the last thing we're going to do with the shoulder is gently roll them up, back, and down. And please feel free to do that as many times as you need. A little backward shoulder roll. So the first thing I'd like to share with you today is 2 ways of doing a bicep curl. And we're going to add a little bit of movement, and this is optional. So I'm going to take one foot a little bit in front, just so I have a little staggered position here. Now, I'm going to turn my palms to face forward. Now, a regular bicep curl, everybody's really aware of a regular bicep curl. There's lots of ways to do this. For today, let's just see about very slowly going from full extension of the arm to the full flexion. There it is. Okay? So that's the first option. Just like that. Now, if you wanted to add some balance practice, you could do a little bend in the knees, and as you shift your weight forward, going into your bicep curl, and shift your weight back. So it's just adding and layering a little bit of awareness and a little bit of challenge for your balance, your center of gravity. Please feel free to leave this out. You can just focus on those biceps. Yeah. think this is going to be 6. If you counted something different, that's okay. Good. Okay. So I am aiming for 6 of everything, but I'm not the greatest counter sometimes. So from here now, my palms facing forward, all I'm going to do to access a slightly different muscle group is turn the palms outwards so that when I bring the arms up, it almost looks like 2 W's or a W or 2 V's with the arms. Okay, so just very slightly different. And then again, you could add that weight challenge, weight bearing challenge of shifting your body weight from one foot to the other. I'm going to do 2 more. Actually, maybe 2 more now because I think that's 6. Good. So I miss having the students in the room who can go, that was 7. Good. There you go. Okay. So those are our 2 bicep curls. Let's do the other side. So I'm going to switch the staggered feet position, optional. Bend the knees, palms face forward. A regular bicep curls, you shift forward, arms come up and down. And something to keep in mind is that the slower you go, the more muscle you recruit. So nice and slow. That's it. Good. Now, if you weren't working with weights, you could just imagine heavy weight lifting. The power of the mind is quite effective. Good. Okay. So when we go ahead and do the other side, or the sort of W curl, keep in mind that from palms facing forward, if I just turn the palms out, that's going to rotate the shoulders a little bit. And this means when I bring my arms up, looks like a W or 2 V's. Okay. And so I might add the weight shifting forward and back, optional, of course. Slightly different muscle group. Can you think about taking the mind's eye into the sensations where you feel this? Does it feel different than the regular bicep curl? Are your weights feeling heavier? Mine are. Yeah, I'm going to do 2 more. Last one. Good. Yeah. Good. I'm going to bring my arms back to my side, feet back together, and a little shoulder roll. Good. So another thing to keep in mind with the shoulder, it's a complex joint. It has more range of motion than most joints in the body, and more ligaments and fun things crossing over. And sometimes people complain about movements in their shoulders with pinching sensations. So a couple things we can do to avoid that or prevent adding injury. One is I don't put any weight over my head. So as far as I go in my classes is here. That doesn't mean that if you've been doing overhead presses for years and it works for you, that you can't continue to do that. But I find that about anytime I'm lifting beyond here, I'm adding a little extra load that, depending on your shoulder, it might not be so great. So that's about as far as I go. The other thing to keep in mind is that the lever, so your arm, the length of your arm is going to depend on, or is going to determine how much strain or effort the shoulder is going to take. So a great example of this is arm abduction, when we take the arm out to the side. So this would be for your deltoid. You'll see this in the gym all the time. Yeah? So when I do this, for me, in my shoulder, it's a clunk. It's not painful, but it doesn't feel great. Same idea. It's a bit of a clunky sound. So in order to get around that and to keep that joint safer and give it a little more room to move, I'm going to shorten my lever. So my arm is the lever. Now I'm going to put it into a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to do the same thing. The elbows float out to the sides, palms face down and back. So look at the difference. The shoulder's doing the exact same thing, but with the arm bent, there's no clunk in my shoulder, and I'm still load bearing and challenging the deltoid, the outer upper arm. So there it is. Good. So for this muscle group, I thought we could do one more here. And then if you choose to, you could add a weight movement, a body weight movement with your lower body. So as my arms go out to the side, I'm going to do that one-legged side step. So I'm going to choose one leg to start with. I'm going to go out to the side, back to center, and do the other side. I'm aiming for 6. Good. 2 more. Last one. Yeah. Super. Oh, good. Little shoulder roll. And a shrug. Good. So I'm going to take one weight and I'm going to put it away. So wherever you want to put it, I'm just going to put it on the counter here that I have. Shake out my arm. All right. So the last thing I wanted to share with you about using one weight is that for me, this is really about safe bending and the idea of bending at the hip crease rather than rounding the spine. So there should be really no discomfort in your back when you do this. It's as if you're taking your pelvis with you when you bend. Okay, so some people like to hold it like a goblet like this. For this one, I like to hold it on either side, just here. Okay, so we're going to work with bending the knees, hinging at the hip. So I'm hinging at the hip crease, only going as far down as I want to go, and arms come down. Bend the knees and come back up again. Okay, so it's kind of a variation on a deadlift. Knees bend, lean forward, as if you're picking something up. Just like that. Try 2 more. And up. Good. 2. Last one. Good. Okay. Now I'm going to do a cross body movement. So I'm going to take my weight up to one shoulder, extend the arms down and swing. I'm going to do 3 like this, and then I'm going to add on to this. If you choose to, you can do it with me. Or you can stay with this version with both feet staying on the floor. Okay, so for this next one, I'm going to shift my weight so that as the arm comes around, the opposite leg lifts. So this one definitely challenges your balance a little bit. Good. And let's try the other side. First 3, we'll keep the feet on the ground. So the arms extended forward and swing. Up to the shoulder and down. And try one more. Then you could add the legs, and if that's feeling awkward for you today, of course you can leave it out. Okay, so if I'm going to shift my weight to the side that the weight's on so that the opposite leg can lift. So you're adding weight bearing, balance. Good. That's it. All right. Good. All right, as you come back to center, last thing we'll do with the weight here, I'm going to bend my knees. You could, if you had a countertop or a chair, you could put your hand on the chair. Just use my thigh here. I'm going to let one arm hang. As it hangs in front, I might add some movement. It's really helpful if you have any kind of impingement in your shoulder. So creating a little bit of traction for the shoulder. You could try the other direction. Yeah, and then just as you come back to center, bend the knees, press into the thigh to come up. Take your weight in the other hand. Bend the knees, hinging at the hip. Arm hanging, and a little movement. Yeah. Okay, the other way. You could even just let it hang without anything. Great if you have an injury to the shoulder. And you might even just do this with your body weight and just let your arm hang without holding anything. And then when you're ready, slowly coming up. Good, we'll take a moment to let your weights rest. Yeah. Shake out your wrists a little bit here. All right. So I wanted to share with you a couple things you could do to isolate some really important muscles in the glutes. And so I often do this just to isolate the muscle that supports the pelvis And this is like the glute medius. So you have 3 bum muscles, and the middle one is often the one that figure skaters use when they are skating. So when people skate, they kind of push with the outer edge of their foot. And this activates what we call the glute medius. And often this exercise is called the skater because it sort of mimics the motion of skating. So whichever foot you'd like to start with, and it is a bit of a balance exercise, so often in my classes I will do this at a wall, but you could have a chair or you could challenge your balance without one, but just make sure something's around you in case you have a little bit of balance issues. So I'm going to shift my weight to one leg. Whichever leg you're going to choose to start with, you're turning it out in a comfortable range for your hip. Everybody's going to be different. So just like a ballerina, and they do a foot turnout. And now I'm going to extend the leg slowly behind me. I'm not throwing my weight into it, so I'm not arching my spine. I'm only going as far as the leg will go easily. And if you are just standing on one leg, you're adding that weight bearing and balance. So you're really getting 3 things out of this exercise. You're getting an activation of the glutes, those important ones to stabilize the hip. But on top of that, when you're standing on one leg, you're getting weight bearing, which is bone building, and balance. If you had an injury to your knee or your hip, or this is feeling really challenging for that standing leg, then each time you bring the leg back, you could take the weight, shift your weight into both feet, and that would distribute so it's not so much for that standing leg. Okay, I'm going to do one more. So I did a few more of this, I think about 8. All right, so I'm going to shift to the other side. Okay, foot turns out, and it's slowly going back. And it might be, for some people, that much. For some people, it might be more. You might even be curious and put your hand on your backside, and you could possibly feel those glutes really going into activation. So you are getting balance, bone density, and strengthening the glutes. So I'm going to do 3 more on that side, and I think that evens me out here. Feel free to do more or less than my cue. Good. One last time. Yeah. Good. I'm going to shake it out. Good. So those are some really important glute muscles. Okay, so the next exercise will be our last exploration of the lower body strength, and I would encourage you to have a chair if you have balance issues, or a counter. If you have a countertop at the back of your couch, you can be creative. Find something that, just in case, it's a bit of a challenge. So it's a bit of a weight bearing, it's a little bit of a squat, and again, you can adjust this to suit your body. So for example, a lot of times I get people who have a lot of knee issues, and this sort of squatting situation, they're like, no. So if that's the case, maybe you're just going to go shifting, lifting, shifting. And notice I'm only extending my leg as far as it's going to go with comfort. So I'm not throwing my weight into it. So we're really isolating the range of motion that's possible for your hip in this movement. This is hip abduction or leg abduction out to the side. So my body weight shifts and then I lift. Now, I really like to add a little squat with this one. And keep in mind with this squat that I'm sending my weight back so my knee is not over my toes. That's harder on the knees, when the knees over the toes. It's not inherently dangerous, but it's not great. So think about bending the knees and then sticking the bum back. So you notice that my knee is more over my ankle. Okay, I can even add my arms here just for balance to just give me a bit of a challenge. So then as I come up, I'm shifting and lifting. So it's the down, up, lift. And then again, the slower you go, so if you had a chair in front of you or a countertop, you could be holding something. And you could certainly leave out this part and just shift and do the leg extension. That's it. I'm going to do 2 more. Good. Say come up. Good. Yeah, I'm going to take a moment here. Big shoulder roll, back and down. Shoulder shrug 3 times. One more. Okay, I'm going to bring my arms out to the side, palms out. Noticing, I talk a lot about this, the hand and the shoulder move together. So if you're noticing you're rolling, roll those thumbs back, open the palms, your shoulders open automatically. And I'm going to take a moment to stretch out the back of the body. Big bear hug for yourself. And as you do this, you might even curl your chin in. You might even curl forward. And this is optional. As I come up, whichever arm's on top, I'm going to switch. Big hug. Yeah, good. Shoulder roll and a shrug. Good. So thank you for joining me for this little class that we've done today. And I hope to come back and share some more with you. Please feel free to post any questions under the video if you have questions on any of the exercises. And remember to drink some water and hydrate. And thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.